around you because your energy is so strong. Vibrate so high that anybody that's wishing to do evil upon you, it shall be revealed. Vibrate so high that any evil entity feels uncomfortable in your...
Yo. Yeah. Everything straight. We're waiting on you. All right. Say less. I got you.
Salute, salute, salute. We back at it like a crack addict. It's your boy Cross, False Cross, CEO across your heart, man. I appreciate y'all tapping in. We got another one today, man. This is carrying on. And again, the industry is being exposed in a way that we just ain't seen. We just haven't seen it. So everybody was talking about Quiet on the Set, and everybody was talking about all the things that went on through Drake Bell, from Drake and Josh, right? So they painted a picture of Dan Schneider, the guy that actually created with all that, the double dares, things of that nature. So 2 days have been out, and guess what? Dan Schneider has responded. And, you know, it was kind of weird because, as y'all see, the title says, "I'm sorry." And the reason why I thought it was weird was almost like he knew he messed up. Now, that's just my opinion. I think he know he's in trouble because, again, he doesn't want to open up certain wounds that he created. You got to remember, his name was behind it. Now, he's going to get into it, and this one guy that's on there is going to ask him a bunch of questions. Y'all tell me what you think as far as, does he sound sincere on some of this stuff? Again, it just seems like, for all the things that he did and what he was responsible for, he was kind of insinuating a little bit too that there were higher powers than him that really was calling the shots. Man, he basically was like the puppet master. I think he even said it. He got a little bit into ego and things of that nature. So let's just go ahead and check out, and let's hear what Dan Schneider had to say about watching this Quiet on the Set.
Is there anything you'd like to start off with?
Absolutely. Watching over the past 2 nights was very difficult. Me facing my past behaviors, some of which are embarrassing and that I regret. And I definitely owe some people a pretty strong apology.
Let's talk about the massage.
So just that off the bat, right? I mean, this the first thing in the interview. I want to apologize. Again, he done kind of messed up. So he's trying to balance it out. That's just my perspective. I feel like he's trying to balance this out to figure out, okay, how is this going to go? Now, we all know, now I'm just saying allegedly, that this has all been pre-planned as far as him using this as a PR tactic. That's the way I feel about it. And that's my opinion. And again, y'all put in the comments what y'all think about it. So let's keep going.
Massages.
Okay.
Watching the content yesterday, it was disturbing.
It was wrong. It was wrong that I ever put anybody in that position. It was the wrong thing to do. I'd never do it today. I'm embarrassed that I did it then. I apologize to anybody that I ever put in that situation. And even additionally, I apologize to the people who were walking around Video Village or wherever they happened, because there were lots of people there who witnessed it who also may have felt uncomfortable. So I owe.
So see, you hear him keep saying he apologized. He made people feel uncomfortable. Now, that's something that probably, again, for him just to come out and say that, either to me, his PR team say, hey, man, put it on out there because it's coming out, or you really are genuinely sorry about what you did. But for him to keep saying that and not allow for himself to say, well, you know, I can understand, but this, that, and the third, but just for the simple fact that he's automatically acknowledging the fault of what he did.
Them an apology as well.
Yeah. Dan, talk to me about the writer's room. From what I saw, not cool.
No. And I don't mean to cut you off, but if I can cut right to the chase, let me just say, no writer should ever feel uncomfortable in any writer's room, ever, period, the end, no excuses. Most TV writers, comedy writers have been in writers' rooms, and they are aware that a lot of times there are inappropriate jokes made and inappropriate topics come up. So
think about that. So in this writer's room, It was the women that talked about how they were treated, how they were talked to. Some of the things that were said was very inappropriate, right? So just think about this. Like, automatically, he's jumping straight out there now. He's going to go in detail because the women said something about the salary pay. So this was another one that was weird to me, where he tried to justify paying two people on the same salary. I've never heard that before. Maybe people have heard that in the industry world, but to me, it seemed like a get over. I mean, I understand you're trying to get a break into Hollywood or whatever the case as a writer, but why would you agree? And you're going to hear him talk about it. Why would you agree to take two grown people to split one salary, knowing the salary is not that substantial?
The fact that I participated in that, especially when I was leading the room, it embarrasses me. I shouldn't have done it. And I can tell you why it hurts really bad for me. I remember very clearly my early experiences, my first experiences in the entertainment business. I was green. I was scared. I was excited. It meant the world to me that I was getting those opportunities. And I went in and I got lucky because they were great. My first couple of experiences were fantastic. And the fact that I didn't pay that forward to every employee that walked through my door, it hurts my heart because I should have. And I wish I could go back and fix that.
Now listen to what he say. Most of it, his experiences were great, but with that situation was he felt like he could have did much more better. Again, he's kind of like he's leaning to admitting without admitting. He's saying, hey man, I could have worked on a lot of things. But again, the video's out there. And now again, he done came out of the woodworks because he's got to clear his name at this point.
In the writer's room, there's no doubt that sometimes those jokes went beyond the pale, and I said things that went too far or made practical jokes that went too far, and that was wrong. And that was because I was an inexperienced producer. I was immature. Wouldn't happen today, but I'm just really sorry it happened.
Yeah, people who did not.
And you also have to take into account, like he said, he keeps putting himself, because again, the whole thing is based off of him. So it's just weird to me that he's the one in the writer's room. Everybody else, there is nothing else out that says certain people, that because they talk about the people that were affected, like Drake and the kids, and also the guy that was the coach, and he'll get into that. But it's just weird that he was just around all the time, around these kids all the time, always there, always. It's like having to be close to them. And that's one part of the things where they speak on how grooming is, where you keep that person, those kids, to try to build that rapport, to then isolate them.
Not have a good experience with you.
Okay, I would like to speak to those people because I hate that anybody worked for me and didn't have a good time. You know me. You've been on my sets. Look, I've had some employees that have worked for me for 10 years, some more than 20 years, who would work with me again. But not everybody. There's still a significant number that didn't have a great time working for me. So my batting average.
So think about that. That's the first thing he said, a significant number. So again, is this documentary or this docuseries the truth, and he's trying to figure out a way to confess without confessing? It's just weird how he's playing it. Okay, yeah, he's not playing the victim, because he know there was no, again, we're dealing with kids, and he knows at this day and age, it should have been frowned upon then, but a lot of those kids were taken advantage of via wanting success.
Average isn't nearly high enough in that area. And the way they wouldn't get the best of me is that I would let the pressure of doing 40 or even more episodes per year, I would let that pressure get to me, which a good boss should never, ever do. Snap at people sometimes. I would be snarky when I could have given them a nicer answer. I would not give people the time that they needed. I would be in too big a hurry to get on to the next thing I had to do. And watching that show, it made me, there were so many times I wanted to pick up a phone and call some of those people and say, I'm so sorry, and let's talk about it. And
some of them.
Yeah, that's, to me, I think I'm calling cap on that. Yeah, you watch that show and you realize when you were in the midst, you were using other people for your financial gain. Facts, it was, and you use kids. You know what I'm saying? For financial gain. And this other stuff, all this mental stuff that you took a lot of them. You got the Amanda Bynes. I mean, you got all types of people. And he's going to talk about Amanda Bynes in here, which is interesting because this guy's going to bring it up. That's why I feel like it was all, he pre-knew these words, this whole interview. Think about it. He hasn't went anywhere else to advocate about this docuseries.
Those jokes are inappropriate for children.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think of that?
All these jokes that you're speaking of, that the show covered over the past 2 nights, every one of those jokes was written for a kid audience because kids thought they were funny. Mm-hmm. And
now listen to what he said. He said inappropriate. Now here it comes. It's coming out. But he's defending the fact. Now think about it. These are not kids. These are not kids that are helping him write or he's going over the lines with. These are adults in the room, and they're already having inappropriate conversations that they feel that they're being pressed on. So if they're writing this, who's the one that's pushing them to write this? He claims he's not the one. But think about it. He's telling you that these jokes were for kids' audience. But you just said that you would go back and you would apologize to everybody. See, that's where I don't like what he said.
Only funny, okay? We have some adults looking back at them 20 years later through their lens, and they're looking at them and they're saying, oh, I don't think that's appropriate for a kid's show. Mm-hmm. And I have no problem with that. If that's how anyone feels, let's cut those jokes out of the show.
Just viewed as that today, you don't have a problem.
Cut it. Cut it.
I mean, that's...
Yeah, I bet he would want to cut it. Think about that. Now he says going back when he's looking at it, if it makes it better, let's cut it out. But here's the thing. That takes away from the show. So if you cut it out or you cut those jokes out, now you are going to have to either bleep it. And if you bleep it and you cutting them out, then they're no longer for kids. It's not kid friendly. It's like being here on YouTube. You say some inappropriate stuff, they then take you to the next level, 18 and older. So where is that conducive for a kid to sit there and listen to the jokes? If you're saying you would just cut them out, it doesn't make sense.
The solution.
The last thing I want to ever do is put any content in a show that's going to upset my audience and make them executives in LA. We had executives in New York.
So two coasts.
Two coasts of approval. Coasts. Yes. And by the way, approval at every stage, really. Okay. And I'm talking about wardrobe. I'm talking about makeup, sound, sets. Okay. And we're also shooting it in front of all sorts of adults and caregivers and the set teacher and the families. Everybody's watching it.
So listen to what he do. Look how he played it off. Everybody's watching it. Now it had to be approval from Dialogue. This is from the East Coast and the West Coast. So you got two major, whomever they are running this kids show. And as they're running this kids show, they're approving everything. Then he says, well, you got to remember, there's caregivers, basically handlers, there's adults, there's parents, there's everybody standing around watching this. This is what he's trying to say is like, why am I the only blame? I'm just the guy that's presenting. The parents were there. They're responsible too, right? Not only if the parents responsible, what about the caregivers? What about all the people that's on the stage while they're doing these jokes and they're approving it on top of the big wigs, right? It's crazy.
And if anybody had said anything, hey, we don't like that, that's not appropriate, then it would have been cut out. If nobody on the set, if all of the dozens and dozens of adults that were on the set, if they didn't say anything, if my bosses said, if they insisted, you got to make a change here, you got to cut that, I had to do it. I had no choice.
Where you are now.
Listen to what he said. He said, hey, if everybody, the adults on the set said it wasn't fine, but the bosses either made the last decision and said whether they cut it or not. Again, the higher ups are running that.
In your life. What do you think of that?
I think that some of the on-air dares went too far. I think they pushed the envelope too far. Not all of them, not most of them, but some did. Nickelodeon wanted to do their version.
Okay, so what he's getting to right there and what he's alluding to, and we'll get to that, is the whole Double Dare thing. Right now, at this time, he's going down and he's asking about different situations, what came up in the docuseries. So in the docuseries, you had two people in there, two African-American people, a woman and a man that used to be in the Double Dare. So he's basically saying at this time, the elites were trying to veer off to Fear Factor, but they were trying to prep the kids to have a kids Fear Factor, even though that they knew how dangerous it was. It's crazy. Let's keep going.
Give them to the network, and they would say, tell us the ones that were okay.
Right.
Those are the ones we shot. Those are the ones that aired.
The series highlight two former writers viewers, two women, who spoke about a wage discrepancy. We saw these two women who were writers for you sharing one salary. How does that happen?
It's very simple. There's a common practice in television when hiring writers. If you have a spot for a new writer, sometimes you'll go to two writers and say, hey, if you two new writers for your first job are willing to share a salary, you can both have the job.
I mean, that's crazy because you automatically taking advantage of them. How about you just give them both a salary? And if they can't produce, you get rid of one of them. And then which one determines if they're, okay, say for instance, there's three writers, new writers there. How do you determine which one splits up their salary? Like, that was weird to me in itself anyway.
Series, they also highlighted two Black actors who said that they felt overlooked. I don't want to speak on anyone's journey. I saw you be honored for diversity in your work.
Yes, and the reason for that is diversity has always been very important to me in my shows. If you go back to the very first Nickelodeon show I ever made, that's very evident, as it is in the second one, and then the first movie I ever made for Nickelodeon, which starred Kenan and Kel.
But the only reason why he was able to do that, because at that time, Kenan and Kel was a cash cow. So, I don't like the way with the diversity, because I remember growing up, it wasn't that much diversity until, later on, Raven Simone and all them came on, on those type of shows, Jet Jackson and all that stuff. And RIP to him, he passed away. That little young guy, he was doing a lot.
And every show I did after that had a lead Black actor in it.
Amanda Bynes was brought up in the series and her emancipation and how you were involved in that. Can you talk to us about it a bit?
Sure. Amanda was between the ages of 16 and 17, and she wanted to get emancipated from her parents, which was a fairly common thing with successful young actors.
Now think about that. Why would he say that's a common practice? And who would push that practice? Successful actors and actresses, all of a sudden, 16, 17, brain doesn't fully develop to the age of 23. You're telling me, or 25, most people, you're telling me that it's okay. And basically you help her make that decision because you said it's a common practice. Why would a grown man tell a child to get emancipated from their family who brought them in doing the work from the get-go? That's that separation stuff.
At least at the time.
Sure.
And she wanted that for herself. So she turned to her team, which included her lawyer, her agent, her manager, her publicist, me, because she included me as part of her team, thought of me that way.
Why would she think about it? This is the guy that writes and produces. Why would she think that he would be? That's weird. Why would this 16, 17-year-old that does not know you give her the Amanda Bynes show, and now allegedly she ends up having you on her team, the person that helps her get paid, and then what, she paying you too as well? That's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. What was your purpose of being there?
We supported her. She tried to get emancipated. It ended up not working out. She didn't.
Well, since we're
right. Why? Because again, They were trying to figure out why would she get emancipated? And then you had a part in it. Why did you have a part in it? And it didn't work. That's weird.
Here's an incident where she had ran away from home, if
Yes.
you would. Can you talk to us a little bit just to clear the air of exactly what happened in that situation?
Yes. One night, it was very late, well after midnight, 1 or 2 in the morning. Phone rang. I answered. It was Amanda. She was upset. She was in distress.
Why would Amanda call you at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning if she has her own team? Let me see it for a minute. Okay. I'm going to say this again. Why would Amanda call you at 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning in an argument with her family?
She had some conflict with her parents, I think her father, and she called me. I was immediately concerned about her safety. I called someone who I knew was.
Have you noticed when you see them shows when they try to catch them people, you know what I'm saying, like Chris Hansen and all them back in the days, and they said, "What are you doing here? Why did you come here?" And the first thing they usually say is, "I was worried about them. I was checking on them. I wanted to make sure they were safe. I was worried about their safety." It's like, then if you were worried about, you don't know them, so why would you help them and create it safe? Is they shouldn't even be. How did she get to the point where she felt like at 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning she can confide in you? That doesn't make sense.
Fairly nearby. That person was able to go and pick her up. Then I knew she was safe. I felt better. She ended up being taken to the police.
Twirling for.
Now listen to that. He kind of skipped. So he had somebody. Listen, somebody was close by. Listen to this. I made a call.
Pick her up. Then I knew she was safe. I think her father, and she called me. I was immediately concerned about her safety. I called someone who I knew was fairly nearby. That person was able to go and pick her up. Then I knew she was safe. I felt better. She ended up being taken to the police.
Twirling.
Okay, so she was you got her away from being safe, but she still ended up going to the police. She ended up still going to jail. That's crazy. That doesn't even make sense. Like, you was involved with that. And y'all go back and watch those videos of him around Amanda Bynes. Very, very weird and suspicious. She's always laying on him. He's always around her, rubbing on her, on her shoulders. All that stuff that we usually see in those worlds of people grooming people.
Forever.
Okay.
You were banned from your set.
The list of false
Talk
rumors.
to me. What happened?
They were adult actresses at the time, and they had their own specific reasons for not wanting to do the show anymore. I'm not judging that. It got tense, and what they don't know, maybe, is I did everything I could to make that show go away. My producer partner at the time, we would call and say, this is not a good situation.
Okay.
Listen how he broke that down. Again, he said they were adults at the time. That means that at that time they had a say-so. They couldn't be taken advantage of. So they were adults at the time. And they just wasn't feeling his situation or his presence around. And he said, I tried to get the higher ups, said this is not a good thing, because they couldn't keep manipulating them kids like they could when they were younger. You see what I'm saying? Like, they couldn't do it anymore. They knew better. And they knew it was wrong.
Forever.
Okay.
You were banned from your set.
The list of false
Talk
rumors.
to me. What happened?
They were adult actresses at the time, and they had their own specific reasons for not wanting to do the show anymore. I'm not judging that. It got tense, and what they don't know, maybe, is I did everything I could to make that show go away. My producer partner at the time, we would call and say, this is not a good situation.
Okay.
So I decided I'm going to do what most showrunners do, which is, you're not on the set. There's a director there to shoot it. I'll go up to the writer's room. I'll work on the next script. But
See what I'm saying? Why were you down there anyway? You was always there. You were making you was lurking. You know what I'm saying? Like you were lurking, watching them. You know what I'm saying? To the point where they like, so you weren't banned from the set. You just decided you would leave and go in the other building with the writers. The same writers that said what you did to them. And you are inappropriate to them. You see the pattern there, Dan? I'm just saying, bro, there's like some things is just common sense. So you can play it all you want. So now they don't want you on the set. You said it was a lie and it's a false rumor. But instead of saying you didn't get kicked off the set, you just went to another building.
Which is, you're not on the set. There's a director there to shoot it. I'll go up to the writer's room. I'll work on the next script. But because everybody was so used to me caring about every detail of every show so much, for me not to be on the set, maybe some people thought I got banned.
So
why would some people think you're like, that doesn't make sense? So some people thought you got banned and other people didn't. Because other people thought you were in a building that nobody knew you were in or wanted you in. You even said it. You weren't even a writer. You didn't pay the writers, but then you were able to break down that it's okay to have the same salary as another person trying to eat and trying to make a living. It's okay. It's common practice to get emancipated at 16, 17 in the industry. Like all that stuff is crazy.
Discuss child predators. Now, I want to make sure that we clear a couple of things up.
Okay.
Brian Peck was not hired by you.
No, I did not hire Brian Peck.
This was a Tolan Robbins production?
Yeah. And when Drake and I talked and he told me what had happened, I was more devastated by that than anything that ever happened to me in my career thus far. And I told him, I'm here for you. What do you need? I heard that he went to court when this guy was being tried, Peck. And when Drake walked in, he saw 50 people sitting on the side of the courtroom supporting Peck.
Think about that. Think about you go to court and this person has did this to you. You don't, as a young man, you don't want to relive it. But when you walk in there, there's 50 people in there. And these are big wig people. 50 people supporting this man that did this and has done this before.
A lot of them pretty famous. Of course, Drake was devastated that happened. And even more disappointing, 41 of those people wrote letters for Peck, character letters, praising him for who he was and asking for leniency. And they knew that he was guilty. They knew.
Think about it. They knew he was guilty. This is how the industry, this is crazy. So they knew he was guilty, but still defended the man for what he did. That means they all was on the same page. And they didn't see nothing wrong with it. And that's crazy.
He had confessed to some degree. I stay in contact with this day. She came to me at the time and she said, Dan, I'm not good with words like you are. And would you help me with my speech for the judge?
Now, that's a little bit, I think you went into try to go into some actor mode there. So what he's talking about is Drake mom called him and said, you're good with words. Can you write this for me? Again, he's a writer. Can you write this for me so I can say something to the judge? But I think he just stayed close. Now imagine in all these court hearings, he's always close connected. He's on the studio. He's in the writer's area. He's hanging out with them. He wants to be around them. Like I said again, he know he messed up.
I said, of course. And I did. After he got out of prison and was, to my knowledge, a registered sex offender, he was hired on a Disney Channel show.
Appreciate you sharing that, man. Are you okay?
Now think about that. This is crazy. and it's gonna get a lot more gonna come out. I'm surprised that he responded so quick. I'm surprised he responded so quick. So he's what it is to me. Somebody probably done told him down the pipeline. Hey man, hey, they coming. They coming. They putting the video out. They get prepared. So they let the world know what done happened. And you have a key witness person. Like I said, he might not have done that. And again, we might not know. Amanda Bynes might come out. I would love to hear some more. Ariana Grande might come out. It's just a lot of things. Y'all go back and watch some of that stuff. And for him to say, hey, if it's a problem, just cut the jokes out. How? Like they got scenes where they've done stuff with their feet. There's a lot of, I don't know if they into whatever type of thing, but it's like a lot of feet scenes. And when you sit back and watch it, it's a lot of compromising situations that they were putting those kids in. And then for them to say that it was for a kids audience, no, you were pushing that agenda on the kids audience, because at the end of the day, we know half those, when we used to hear laughing, yeah, they had audience sometimes, but they had the laugh box, they had all that stuff they can manipulate with. So y'all saw it right here. Dan Schneider, ex-Nickelodeon producer, said, I'm sorry. Do you forgive Dan? Does Dan need to go to court? Dan needs to be charged. Do they need to open up some of these things and get more of these actors and actresses and these child stars out here? Was Orlando Brown lying? They thought he was crazy. The whole time people been thinking he's off. So now this stuff is coming out now. And that's weird. Now he might say some stuff way out of left field. But hey, now we got to look at it, because again, it's probably a lot of weird stuff they was doing. You know, if Diddy can do weird stuff, ain't no telling what the kids shows was doing allegedly. So on that note, I appreciate y'all rocking with your boy, man. We about to get out of here.